G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome to r/Am I the Arsehole? Let's get into it. Am I the arsehole for calling my aunt classless and outing her biggest secret to the whole family? I, 25 female, have always been really close to my cousin D, 22 male. He had a harder time growing up because his parents had some financial difficulties. He never went to bed hungry, but they didn't have much money for luxuries. My uncle met his wife in a strip club where she was dancing. No one in the family knows this, but she left that work when she got married. They have a business, which D works for, that struggled for years, but was one of the businesses that became vital during the pandemic, so things really turned around for them and they are making bank. This means that a few months back, my cousin could have an amazing wedding and a 2-month-long worldwide honeymoon. I was really happy for and proud of him. I grew up solidly middle class. Nothing lavish, but we had some things that some would consider luxuries. My parents, however, were not in a position to pay for college for me, which I was chilled about, and I got loans. I have been working for 2 years, and I still live with my parents while I pay off the loans. I, unfortunately, couldn't get my master's because it wasn't financially viable. Last weekend was my birthday party, and my cousin showed up without a gift. His wife made a comment, jokingly, about how they can't afford anything after spending X amount of dollars on their wedding. None of this bothered me because gifts are not an expectation, but my dad was visibly upset. I asked him about this, and he opened up a can of worms. It turns out that I used to have a healthy college fund until my mum secretly lent it out to my aunt and uncle to help save their business when I was 15. The agreement was that as soon as they were able, they would pay it back to my mum. They haven't returned a dime. They have, in the last 3 years, bought a second house, flown first class overseas twice, and paid for D's wedding and honeymoon. Their excuse is that I'm done with college, and their son works hard, so he deserves it more. My father got so annoyed at my aunt while relaying this to me that he decided to kick them out. While trying to calm him down, I said, "We both know that she only thinks about herself and D. If she had any class, she wouldn't dress like she's still a stripper." I was so preoccupied that I didn't realize that my entire family had quietly walked up with the candles lit, ready to sing to me, and that they heard everything. My aunt then left, and has since sent me a message that we will never be seeing that money, as it is now compensation for her pain and suffering. I didn't mean to out her and be so rude. I was dealing with a lot of emotions and shock over this, and I still am. My family doesn't know why we were so angry, and so they think that I'm just an asshole, and I don't want to tell them the whole story. But I'm not sure if it's excusable either way. So, am I the asshole? In the comments, not the asshole. You acted from emotions, and to be honest, your aunt is an asshole. Do whatever you can to get that money back. Use the text that your aunt sent to sue. People like that are horrid. You could still get a master's degree if you wanted to, because they stole from you. Low-key, I think your mum is too, since she lent the money in secret initially, and is probably a big reason your dad hasn't pushed for payback. There's nothing low-key about it. The mum clearly made a unilateral, huge financial decision without discussing it with her husband or thinking of her child. Also, that money could go to pay off the loan or just help with whatever the next big step in OP's life is. Like affording that master's degree that OP couldn't afford to get, or afford to move out, which is not easy right now. If your dad has any evidence of the loan and her agreement to repay it, I would 1. Pay a lawyer for a 1-hour consultation regarding the likelihood of suing her. The good news is that she has money and assets. 2. Armed with this information from the lawyer, your parents should approach your aunt and propose a repayment plan. Emphasize that the loan was an agreement and that they aren't willing to write off such a substantial sum. This conversation is a courtesy notification, not a negotiation. You won't get your aunt's agreement here. If she was a reasonable person, she would have already paid back the money. 3. I would disregard any noise about your insult. It's a red herring and a chance to divert focus from their theft. And 4. Once you assemble evidence of her broken agreement, pick one reasonable, credible member of the extended family and share the situation with them. Ask for their guidance around persuading your aunt to return the stolen money without resorting to a lawsuit. There is a small chance they can help, and nearly a certain chance that they'll take care of the family rumor mill, not the asshole. The evidence sent to the mum saying that they are not repaying is evidence of the agreement. Back it up now, and in more than one spot. It's not just evidence of the agreement, it resets the statute of limitations because it's an acknowledgement of the debt. It is potentially vital evidence necessary for you to prevail in court. And now on to the update and answers. So my cousin asked me to meet him alone this morning. It turned out he knew nothing about it at all. His mum has been keeping it quiet. He took this week to consult with a lawyer to figure out how much they owe. He also has recently uncovered two things. Firstly, the business has been evading tax, so he's very glad that we didn't take legal action. He's started the process to come clean and pay that back. Secondly, she also borrowed money from my grandparents, a decent amount, which she never paid back. They have since passed on, so the lawyer said that that amount will form part of the estate and will be owing between the three siblings. My cousin offered to sell his house to pay in full immediately, if need be, but as an alternative, he and his lawyer have created a payment plan that would pay for my masters immediately. They will take over my loan repayments immediately once it is paid. They will continue paying my mum back monthly until the total is settled. We will obviously be going with the plan where he doesn't lose his home. Despite my cousin and his lawyers seeming fair, they have both advised me to find my own lawyer for my mum's interests, and they have offered to pay for that also. Because of the age of the loan and the lack of effort to collect on my mum's side, they could legally contest it, or some of it, but my cousin won't be doing that. My cousin apologized to me profusely and said that he wouldn't ask me to keep this secret from the family, but appreciates that I kept it to myself and hopes that we can continue that as long as he holds up the agreement that we make. My cousin is an amazing human, and we will work with him to try to make the impact of his mother's actions on his life be as little as possible while remaining fair. And the best part of all of this was that he planned on giving me my gift after my party when we were alone because he didn't want to steal my thunder. It was a gift card, and inside the envelope was a sonogram. I'm going to be a godmother soon, and I cannot wait. The answers. The money was in a savings account that was going to be used for my college costs. It was in my mum's name, and so legally hers. She told my dad when I was applying for colleges, and he's known for some time. I don't know if it affected their relationship, and I don't plan on asking. Her and my father have done little to get the money back because she is not coping well with the stress due to being sick. My aunt was upset because I outed a 25-year-long lie, more so than people knowing her previous work. I have apologized to her for what I said via text and have left it at that. I have yet to hear back from her. I have also confronted my prejudice against sex workers privately. I won't deny that I have judged her because of it, and it's not something I'm proud of. This blew up at a bad time because my dad had overheard that my aunt is so proud of my cousin for moving out and living on his own at 22. He just boiled over on my behalf. In the comments, looks like the apple fell far, far from this tree. Cousin has morals and ethics that his parents didn't teach him. That takes integrity. God, I feel sorry for that cousin. What a frickin' bomb to have dropped on your head out of nowhere. Kudos to him to making things right, but still, that sucks. Cousin has morals and guts of steel. Let's hope he breaks the cycle before it starts. When will people learn never loan money to friends and family unless you are 100% sure they will pay you back? Pretty ballsy to just declare that you don't owe what sounds like a hefty amount of money just for people knowing your old occupation, especially one where you met your husband. I get that it may be a bit embarrassing, but damn. She had nothing else. That was the last card to play in hopes of not having to pay up. And it wasn't a good one. A joker. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for euthanizing my daughter's emotional support animal for her own sake? My daughter recently turned 20. She's been dealing with major depressive disorder, social anxiety, anorexia, body dysmorphic disorder, and 2 autoimmune diseases since she was around 12. I am very involved in her treatment and obviously wanted her to get better, so when her therapist recommended getting her a dog to register as an emotional support animal, we got her one for her 16th birthday, named Juniper. I generally dislike animals, but it was for my daughter's sake, so I caved. Junie and my daughter grew close, and I've seen a notable difference in her since we got the dog, especially in her sense of independence and self-esteem. 4 years later, my daughter is now a part-time tutor, volunteers with the elderly, and attends school full-time with excellent grades. I'm so proud of how far she's come, and though I realize she has a ways to go, Junie has helped her, and I credit the dog for that immensely. Here is the problem. While my daughter was at school, Junie got out of the house and got hit by a car since we live right in front of a busy street. My wife and I rushed her into the vet, and were told that Junie would need surgery, which would cost somewhere in the ballpark of $2,000. I make a good salary, but I just cannot justify spending that much on a dog, especially when it may not even work, and Junie would probably be crippled. Plus, she was pushing 5 years old, and her breed usually only lives for 9 to 10 years. Due to all of these reasons, I decided the humane and logical decision would be to euthanize Junie. At this point, I called my daughter to let her know the situation and the solution I'd chosen, and she freaked out on me. She tried telling me how she had $700 in savings and would quickly find a job to pay me back the rest, to which I declined because A, it's not just about the money, and B, I don't want to risk ruining her mental health by her getting a job, especially since she'd likely have to quit one of her volunteer jobs, which have helped her so much. I explained this to her, but she wasn't hearing reason. So I put my foot down and said that my decision was final because the dog was technically mine since I paid for it, and then I hung up. We put Junie down, surrounding her with love and gratitude. When we got home, my daughter had just pulled in and was hysterical. I told her that she was too old to be acting like this, and one part of becoming a competent, independent adult was accepting what life throws at you. Now she isn't speaking to me. I'm beginning to think I should have at least told her where we were so she could say goodbye. On the other hand, Junie already served her purpose in helping my daughter, and she only had the dog for 4 years. So I don't understand the huge overreaction. Am I the asshole? Now in the comments, you're the asshole. You likely ruined her mental state by killing her dog much more than a job would have. I'm amazed that you think what you did was okay. You basically killed her best friend. Also, 5 years is only half of her life. That's like saying someone is better off dying at 50 than trying to get a life-saving surgery. Honestly, I wonder if having a mum like that is part of the reason why this girl has so many problems. How sad. And I read it wrong, I know it's a horrible father who did this. Honestly, I don't even have the words for how awful OP is. I can't imagine how his poor daughter feels. My mental health is only just recovering from putting down my own cat 7 months ago, and I was the one who made the choice to do it because he was old and in pain. I can't imagine how utterly screwed it would be if someone had done what OP did. Your daughter being willing to get a job to repay you for the surgery was a chance for you to see her get a little closer to being a competent, independent adult like you claim to want. You're the asshole, OP. You didn't want to ruin your daughter's mental health progress. Well, you did. You were disgusting, completely and utterly. You're the asshole. I wish I didn't read this. This animal was a living being and a member of the family, not an object to be discarded once it had fulfilled its purpose. If you can't justify spending money on medical treatment for a pet, then you don't get a pet. Simple as that. People who have such a cavalier attitude about euthanasia make me sick. That's enough internet for tonight. You're the asshole. Jesus, this is actually sickening. Saying that Junie already served her purpose in helping my daughter is such a gross thing to say. How do you know your daughter doesn't still rely on that dog emotionally? Just because she's doing better doesn't mean she still doesn't have those mental health issues. You basically killed your daughter's best friend for no reason. You said that you could afford the surgery. I wouldn't be surprised if your daughter regresses majorly due to this. Shame on you. And now on to the first edit/update. Jesus Christ. Message received. I guess I am the asshole. I still believe that I made the best choice, but I suppose I could have let her be more involved. Some people are asking the same questions, so I'll answer them here. I am not a sociopath. I am just excellent at separating emotion in preference of logic, especially in times of crisis. This does not mean I don't feel anything. I love my daughter more than anything in the world. My wife was 100% on my side for the actual decision of putting Junie down and agreed our daughter should not witness it. She did, however, disagree with the words and tone that I used towards my daughter when we got home, which is where I began wondering if I was the asshole. I am not and have never been jealous of Junie. That's ridiculous. She was an emotional crutch for my daughter and will always be special to me in that way. My daughter did not love me any less after getting the dog. If anything, she loved me more. Lastly, thought that I would update you all that I did, in fact, talk to my daughter today. It took her some time to let me in, but once she did, I was able to explain my side, give her my reasonings for what I did, and convince her to forgive me. She agreed, and we are all moving past this ASAP. I'm actually about to run out and get her favorite fast food for dinner, and we're having a family movie night. She is still acting distant and mopey, but she has her regular therapist appointment tomorrow, so I'm confident she can vent there and her therapist can help her get through this without any permanent damage. By the way, I also offered to get her another dog, which wasn't easy for me, and she declined, so I don't think her bond with the dog, and like for animals in general, was as unbreakable and solid as all you commenters are claiming. Junie just wasn't meant to be around that long, and I'm glad my daughter was able to have 4 years with a dog she liked. Now we're moving on, the end. Last edit, edit 2. To everyone leaving horrendous messages to me in my DMs, take a look at yourself and the words you were using against me, and consider how hypocritical it is that you were calling me the asshole when you're telling me that you hope my daughter murders me. In the comments, I just had your dog put down. Do you want a new one? No? Jeez. Guess you don't like dogs that much in the first place. Your husband just died. Time to get a new one immediately. What a tosser. That is what got to me the most. He claims to be sympathetic, but when she declines a new dog, his first thought is, I don't think her bond with the dog and like for animals in general was as unbreakable and solid as all you commenters are claiming. Doesn't even stop to consider that maybe, just maybe, that to his daughter, Junie is irreplaceable. I saw it as her both grieving and probably never trusting her dad with another animal as long as she lives there. If it was me, I'd rather wreck myself and slow down my healing and progress than risk bonding with another animal on the off chance my dad just decides to kill it someday. What a horrible thing to do. As he explicitly mentioned, he had the right to make this decision because he bought it. How does he not understand she does not ever want to be put through this kind of situation ever again? If she's ready for a new friend, she will get it herself. Chances are she'll never even tell him about it. I'm waiting for the update. My daughter left home and won't talk to me for no reason. He never even acknowledges, let alone says he apologizes, that it's either his or his wife's fault that the dog got out to begin with. And no comment or care for the dog's well-being other than it served its purpose and it lasted halfway, so that's good enough, bye-bye. Even in the second edit, like wow. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.